Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Data Standard Audio Experience. Today on our show, I have Amit Dingare, the Director of Data Science at Novelis. And today we're speaking about AI and ML in manufacturing. So welcome to the show, Amit. It's so great to have you today.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And could you just tell us more about your background and go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. So in my current role, I'm the Director of Data Science at Novelis. I lead a global team of data scientists at Novelis. And what we are trying to do in Novelis is build a machine learning team that applies digital technologies to our manufacturing operations. So Novelis, as you may know, is an aluminum rolling company. We are the world's largest recycler of aluminum. We generate a lot of data through our manufacturing process. We have presence in 11 countries right now, and we have 30 plus plants. So what we are trying to do is build AI and machine learning use cases in our plants to generate business value through use of these technologies.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. And it's definitely a very large expanding company right now.
Yeah.
And what are some ways that data has really helped you solve just different problems using AI and ML in manufacturing specifically?
Yeah, so manufacturing is a very interesting place for AI and ML, and this is actually my first stint in manufacturing. Before coming to manufacturing, I worked in various other industries except manufacturing, actually, to be honest. I worked in healthcare, CPG, retail, banking. So you name it, I pretty much have worked in those except manufacturing. And when I came to manufacturing, I was just amazed by the opportunities that AI and ML can solve or apply, can be applied to. We generate so basically, if I think about where we are at the intersection of IoT and data science, right? So we generate a lot of data through sensors and in our machining operations. And it's largely a time series based IoT data that we are now building machine learning models on. And mainly we focus on two types of use cases in our operations. We focus on either how do we improve the throughput of our process using the data that we have. So how do we optimize the process that exists? Or we try to figure out ways to understand some of the quality problems that we have. So we build machine learning models that actually try to identify the factors that cause certain defect in our operations. Apart from the operations, we are also focusing on supply chain quite a bit and trying to build largely optimization models to improve our supply chain efficiency. So it's a very interesting industry and place to apply AI and machine learning. So I will definitely encourage future data scientists to think about manufacturing.
Yeah, definitely. And with a lot of the things that you and your team are doing with AI and manufacturing, I'm sure there's a lot of different challenges that you have faced and you've encountered before. So what are some of the challenges that you've had to kind of deal with this line of work?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, manufacturing is a very kind of big industry and has been capturing a lot of data. There are some drawbacks as a result of its kind of how old the industry is, right? The industry has been there for hundreds of years, and in many places, data is actually captured in locally. So we have like various data sources siloed in different plants, and that sometimes poses a problem of bringing the data because the same data can exist in 10 different systems in 10 different plants, right? So that's, I would say, one big challenge. Right now, what we are trying to do is bring all that data to our cloud data lake and map it to a consistent schema so we can actually build our AI and machine learning models on that data. And that takes a long time to actually just build those data pipelines and do a consistent mapping of that data. Especially when you have 600 plus sensors that are capturing data every 10 milliseconds, it's a lot of data that we need to do mapping for and store. So I would say that's one problem. The second problem is the industry is kind of largely at this point has been using a lot of the statistical processes in the past, using Six Sigma or world-class manufacturing programs that existed, and that now we are kind of taking the workforce to a newer dimension where we have AI and machine learning, where we are trying to build kind of statistical models on a high dimensions and using nonlinear functions. There is a big disconnect between those two worlds, and to take the workforce from kind of this old ways of thinking to this new ways of thinking requires a lot of investment in upskilling the force. So that's another area where we are working on quite a bit to make sure that once we build the models, those models are maintained and sustained by the local plant resources. We are focusing a lot on the training and education of these workforces resources.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear. And thanks so much for sharing a little bit about the work that you're doing currently there also. And what do you think is your favorite part about the job that you have right now?
We sit at the intersection of IoT and data science, and that means that our data is largely in time series format, and to basically build machine learning models on this data is a very new field. And largely people have done forecasting based methods on time series, but to apply supervised machine learning on time series data is relatively new. And that gives us kind of opportunity to apply a lot of the interesting research that is happening on our actual data. The second area where I think that really excites me is there are a lot of unsolved problems in manufacturing that can be solved using AI and ML. And one of the things is a problem that you solve in one plant can be taken from to another various plants and applied there. So the value that we generate from the same problem is pretty large, which is not very common in other industries. So I would say those two areas that keep me really excited.
Yeah, definitely. There's so many different things and that you're working on, I'm sure, and a lot of different challenges and new challenges that you get to solve every single day. And it involves a lot of critical thinking, absolutely. And what do you think, or how do you think the future of AI and ML will be changing in the next coming years, especially in the field of manufacturing?
Yeah, that's a very good question. If you think about AI and ML right now, I kind of like want to use the analogy of how IT evolved, right? Back in the 80s, I remember everyone was a programmer. And then you started seeing a kind of bifurcation of the roles where you had front-end developers, you had back-end developers, you had middleware developers. I think AI and ML is going to go in that direction soon, where you will have people who will specialize on the algorithmic side, people who will specialize on the day ops side of machine learning, which is a new field called ML ops, which is coming up. And some people will focus on the engineering aspect of data science. ML engineers, that's a new job description coming up right now. So that's kind of like one kind of bifurcation of responsibilities. I also imagine that this field will move from more like generalists to specialists. So you will have in the future people who focus on certain areas of AI, such as computer science, NLP, audio, time series, and they will kind of like generate specialties in that area. So I think I'm seeing that the division of roles and responsibilities will happen in the next 4 to 5 years. Now, in manufacturing specifically, I think there is a big movement of Industry 4.0 that's kind of creeping in this industry. And it brings some of the very new concepts as a result of sensors, IoT. And I'm going to see that in the future, this intersection of AI and IoT is going to be more pronounced. There is a new field that's emerging called AIoT, which is artificial intelligence for IoT-based data. And I think that is going to catch up pretty soon.
Yeah, that's super interesting to hear. This is the first time I'm actually hearing about that as well. And do you have any advice for those who are maybe in their academic career right now in university and they might want to go into a manufacturing career but using AI and ML? Do you have anything to say to them?
Yeah, I would say if you can take certain courses, definitely take courses on time series data, because what we are seeing as we hire from schools, a lot of curriculum is based on cross-sectional data and very less focus on time series data. So I would say definitely take some time series based classes, and it requires a different level of thinking to solve those problems. Second is definitely try to understand IoT field a little bit better, because there are a lot of protocols that exist in that field, how to get data, how to manipulate data, how to denoise the data. So if you understand those, that's going to really help you to build very good machine learning models. And third is definitely always stay curious, because this industry is changing so rapidly that by the time you come to the workforce, whatever you have learned has become old. So you have to constantly keep yourself up to date. And if you have that curiosity mindset, it will be easier for you to update yourself.
Yeah, no, that's all great. Great advice. And I wanted to say thank you so much, Amit, for joining us. It was so great to have you. And we're at the Data Standard, we're building a community for everyone to come together and just be able to network and collaborate with each other. So, what is something the community can help you do?
I think a community is very important in this industry, especially when we can exchange ideas and network with each other and solve the kind of problems together, right? Open source, as you can imagine, as you have seen, is a very good movement that has happened in the field of AI and machine learning. And this community that built on top of that will definitely help us exchange ideas and collaborate on different problems.
Yeah, perfect. And where can everyone find you online to connect with you?
I think the best way to find me would be LinkedIn. I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I keep on sharing new research, new articles that I come across. So definitely connect me on LinkedIn. My handle is Amit Dingare, that you can find on LinkedIn.
All right, perfect. And to our audience, for more information on the Data Standard, you can find us at www.datastandard.io, as well as on our LinkedIn and YouTube channel. Thank you so much, Amit, for joining us. It was such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Catherine. Have a good day.